Hi Aries, welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot with me. My name is Carole and this is going to be a general reading for you for April 2026. And so I want to welcome you to my channel if you're new, and also if you're coming back for another reading, I want to thank you and I hope you take the time to subscribe. I know that a lot of people will watch videos but don't always subscribe. It just helps my videos get out there because this is a healing channel. Some of you may know that I'm a survivor of sexual abuse and trafficking, and I've been on an intensive healing journey to heal my own shadow for about 9 years, coming up in April actually. And I have a website called carolecares.com, and I have a lot of information, personal information on there. You can also find a place where I offer personal readings, tarot readings, if you're interested in that. I'm also a shamanic practitioner, so if any of you want to know a little bit about shamanism, if any of you are interested in the healing, I offer a free 15-minute consultation. It's a Zoom call, and there is a place on my website, on my shamanic practitioner site, which is called, I'm thinking, oh, I'm blanking right now, which is really silly. It's called Red Snake Medicine. And you can go there and book a 15-minute consultation with me if you're interested, or you just want to talk about it. There's absolutely no pressure after that. But you're here today listening to me because you're hoping for a reading. And so we're going to get into your reading, Aries. And in today's reading, you know, Aries, this is all about your energy because April is a huge month, very, very powerful energetically for us. It's actually, I find, I follow Pam Gregory, an astrologer, and she just really explains a lot. So some of the information you here is taken from her. It's also, you can go on and look at her videos are amazing. You know, so we're first of all, it's the year of the fire horse, right? So we have that fiery energy happening. And then we have this new moon coming up in April 17th, which is absolutely incredible. And Pam Gregory even said that, you know, she's been reading astrology for quite a while now. And she said that she's never seen anything like this, where there's going to be 9 orbiting bodies in Aries. And I think 7 of them, if I'm correct, are going to be planets that are moving into Aries. And so it really is a month where we have this Aries energy. And you know, Aries is like this ignition key. It's the one that gets everything going. And so this month you're really being asked to take advantage of that energy that's pulling you into something new. It's asking you to be brave and to step out. Maybe take a risk. You know, I'm wondering if the Fool's going to come out, because the Fool's all about taking a risk and taking that next step. And the Aries energy says, I am. And Aries knows who they are. They know they're going to, you know, they're that sovereign being. And so you're asking this month to step into who you are. And maybe it's going to be a small step or a big step into your purpose, towards your purpose, right? So I'm going to ask for clarity in this reading around something that has to do maybe with your career, with a relationship, platonic or intimate, or, you know, somewhere in between. Maybe something around your health. Maybe you're moving physically, spiritually. I know I am, actually. And so we're going to look at, you know, what's your next step? What's the next step that you need to take? We're going to look at what's blocking that. And because oftentimes when we want to make that next step, it sounds absolutely crazy to us. And I'm going to say to you that the ideas that are the most crazy are the ones that you're going to have the most resistance to. And usually they're the ones that, you know, you need to take. And when we're about to take that next step, you know, where it involves a bit of a risk, maybe, where you're asking to really put yourself forward, we need oftentimes to look at that resistance, to look at those blocks, because there's something behind them that need healing. And so that's when we're going to look into your unconscious. We're going to look into your shadow. We're going to see, okay, what is it from your childhood, from your adolescence, that's blocking you from taking that next step? And then finally, we're going to look at some advice from the tarot as how you can begin to heal this so that you can take the next step. And remember that this is a process. It's a journey, right? And we're always trying to do it in alignment with what the universe is asking us to do. So this can be, you have to be careful, because this can be a real month where you're asked to take off. And we can have our ego self that will really, you know, sometimes get us caught up in things almost to a point of manic or addiction. So you really have to, it has to be a month where you're grounded and you're doing that real inner healing to know that, okay, this is the right step for me. And so let's begin with your reading. I'm going to be using the Ehrenberg Tarot. I'm also going to be clarifying with the Tarot of A.E. Waite. And so we're going to start off with what's next step for Aries in April. And you have the Queen of Wands. Next, we're going to look at what's blocking you, right? So what are you feeling here? What's the block? What's the block? You have the Knight of Cups. And then we're going to take a look at what do you need to heal? What's sitting in your shadow? What's sitting in your unconscious from your childhood that is blocking you, that needs healing? Oh, you have the Temperance card in reverse. And then finally, some advice from the tarot. And I always find their advice is very good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you with advice of my own. And I will offer you some videos from my other channel called Carole Cares that I did a few years ago. But they're perfect videos for you just to look at, you know, and I'll offer you some that you can look at to help you. So you have the Page of Swords. I'm blabbing and I don't put down your card. All right, so let's get some clarifiers for this Queen of Wands right here. And both these decks were pre-shuffled before I came on. Queen of Wands, couple clarifiers for the Queen. Hope you're all doing well, by the way. I don't think I said that at the beginning. I know these are crazy times, and because of the big energies that are going on, it's hard for us to keep our feet on the ground and stay grounded, but it's very, very important that we practice grounding during this time. The Moon card, and one more card for the Queen of Wands. There we go, the High Priestess in reverse. You have 3 big feminine energies here for where you're sitting right now and what's your next step. And so that's amazing for you. Knight of Cups. And I did pick Aries as my first reading because it is a month of Aries energy, so I thought it would be apropos to do that. The Knight of Cups. And one more card here. I love that you have this feminine energy for yourself. It's very powerful energy. One more. Okay, so you have the 4 of Pentacles and the 6 of Cups in reverse. 4 of Pentacles is called our Miser card, you know, holding on to something. So, and that's... this is what's blocking you right now. Temperance in reverse. Couple cards for that. One more. Okay, so this is going to be your shadow over here, what needs healing. And you have the 7 of Swords and the 3 of Swords. So you have Swords energy. Yeah, and your shadow. The Page of Swords. Well, we got one here, and we'll have one more. Oh, those want to come out. I'm just gonna... Okay, one more here. making sure this isn't sloppy shuffling, because then, you know, I want to be accurate. So, one more. Okay. You have the Queen of Wands and the Justice card coming out here underneath your Page of Swords. And that's the advice from the tarot. So, let's begin with what's your next step. Well, the Queen of Wands is here. We talked about, you know, the big feminine energy here. And the Queen of my deck is our feminine side. We have two sides. We have a masculine side and a feminine side. And the whole point of the Fool's Journey is to bring our feminine and our masculine sides together so that, you know, we're balanced out. And it's interesting because I think it's coming up in the beginning of April. It's either a full moon or new moon, I forget. But it's in Libra, right? And Libra is all about balancing these out. So it's fascinating that this has come out for you. And the wand itself is about your direction, your purpose, going towards your purpose. So there's really here your next step is definitely something to do with going towards your purpose. You know, what you came here for. And oftentimes we get little pieces of it. You know, we'll go here and we'll go here and we'll go here. But that's why it's so important for us to be grounded so that we can be in alignment and know what is my next step. And remember that the feminine side of us is very grounded, because the feminine part of us is our body. And a lot of us will spend time in our head, our mind, you know, stuck up in our mind. And that's the masculine part of us. And so it's really important this month that you really pay attention to, I need to stay grounded. I need to stay on this earth. I need to stay in my body, because I need to know for sure that this next step that I want to take that's going towards who I am, that's going to my new self. It's like this is a month of rebirth for you. And so what is it that you finally are thinking, I know this is what I want to do. I know this is my next step. And again, it could be absolutely anything because it's a general reading. But this is your month, Aries, to finally say, you know what? I'm taking this next step because that's where I want to go. That's who I am. You know, I think a lot of our life we spend over here doing something. I spent 30 years in a career of teaching high school kids, but I also know that I believe that my purpose, and I'm going towards it now, is going to be teaching. And it's also going to be something related to adolescence, because that's what I did for 30 years. So I think a lot of us, that's how we kind of like balance. I think we start off, you know, I've had half of my life doing something, but I think what I've learned from that is going to be related to where I'm going. And so maybe you understand this, you know, where you're going. And so the two clarifiers of this is the moon and the high priestess. These are two big feminine energies here that are supporting you on your new direction that you're taking. And they're major arcana cards. And so let's start off with the moon card. The moon card talks about all those things that are unknown to us, those things that are hidden. The moon card talks about our intuition. And intuition is a feminine quality. It's a powerful feminine quality that we all have. We all have access to those things that are unknown to us. And they can become known to us when we follow our intuition. Now, the interesting thing about intuition that people don't realize is that in order for you to be intuitive, and an intuition means like your gut knowing, right? It's not your mind knowing. It's knowing in your gut, deep inside your body. I know that's where I'm supposed to go. But in order for you to know that this is an intuitive decision, it's one that's in from here and not from up here, you have to be grounded in your body, because you cannot make a decision from your mind and say that was an intuitive decision. It's not, because this is your masculine self right here. So it's got to come from here. And so you've got this supporting you. It's like, get in touch with your intuition. Get in touch with, get into your body. And that's how you're going to know for sure that this is your next step, because it's very important for you. And you've got the High Priestess as well. It's right behind another major arcana card. Now your High Priestess is the first half of the feminine archetype in the major arcana. The second half is the Empress, which is all about your emotional side. This side has everything to do with those things that are hidden, right? Look at her. She's sitting here in front of this veil, and it looks like no one can get in. She's got this scroll that sits in her lap, and it has actually, it looks like it says Toro, and it's a play on words, I think, with tarot. Now Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament. And, you know, so it's like the book of law. Like, in order for you to get past here, you know, she's got to look in her law book to see if you can get in. But that's not what it is here. It's this, people think that you can't get in, you can't get past this veil. She represents, again, your intuition. This is the intuitive side of you. So you have 2 powerful major arcana cards that both of them represent your intuition. Those things that are hidden right now to you, but when you go inwards, right? This is what this is all about. This is a card of going inwards. When you go inwards, you have access to all your answers. And I hated that when my own life coach tells me or told me, you know, you have everything in you. You have all your answers. I'm just in the midst of making a huge move physically and spiritually for myself. And I have been working with my own trauma coach for 9 years intensively. And I always would ask her, you know, is this the right move? Is this the right move? Is this the right move? And this time I'm like, I'm really trying to use my intuition on this one. I'm really counting on, this is my intuition. It's not my mind that's helping me through this right now. It's my intuition. And so I'm trying to remain grounded, but I'm also having to move through a lot of shadow stuff in order to do this. And this is what this reading is about, because you see, you have this move to make, but you're going to come into some real big resistance. You're going to hear a lot of stuff in your head. Your ego self is going to be going, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Don't do this. Oh, it's going to cost too much money. I've heard every one of those statements already when I'm wanting to make this big move. And so what's blocking you? And so you start off with the Knight of Cups. So you have this part of you that is just dying to go, right? You're feeling it. You're feeling the energy. The Knight in my deck is what I call a freedom fighter. It's like, think of that teenage part of you, because that's what it is. It's a teenage part. We all have this, that wants freedom to do what the hell they want to do. They have this cup. It's the cup of love in their hand. Like, I feel like this might have something to do with your relationships, because the Knight, the Knight with the cup wants to have like healthy relationships. It's the Knight that really wants to feel what it is to be loved, like in a real way. And so maybe you're sitting in a relationship right now where you're realizing that this relationship isn't authentic. I've been in this for a long time, and I'm realizing that, you know what? This is not me. And we can grow out of it, our relationships, especially when you've been growing and your partner hasn't been growing. Could be you in a friendship. You know, maybe it's time to say, well, you know what, this isn't working anymore. Because this is the night of with the cup. And it's all about love, and it's all about relationships, and it's a night that wants authentic relationships. It's the part of you that wants to be free to maybe experience, you know, what it's like to have an authentic relationship in something, right? It's a general reading here. So what's clarifying this Knight of Cups right here? Well, the first card you had is the Four of Pentacles. And I said that it was our Miser card. And the Pentacle is all about your body. So what are the things you're holding on to in your body, right? He's holding on to stuff. You've been holding on to something for a long time. And I think that's why I said, you know, it's relationships here. Like, what have you been holding on to? What do you need to let go here? Right? The Pentacle has a lot to do with your career. It has a lot to do with your health. It has a lot to do with money too. You know, maybe you've been in a relationship for a long time because, you know, you thought you couldn't make it on your own, or you've been relying on your partner for money. Or maybe your partner makes a lot of money, or maybe you make more money than your partner. You know, where does the money fit in here? And so this card is saying, you know, what have you been holding on to for a long time? That's like, it's time it's for security, right? Time to let that go, because you have this inner child card that comes up next right here, and it's in reverse. And, you know, no surprise that they're exchanging a cup in an upright position. You have this older child exchanging a cup with a younger child here. And so this is really a card of, I see this as a nostalgic card too, right? Maybe you've held on to this relationship that you're in, or this career, and at one point in your life, you know, you dreamed of it. You know, a lot of times that's what we get into, a relationship where we make this fantasy up in our head, or we have this dream of what real love is, especially when we get into it at a young age. And some of us are, you know, all of us are carrying trauma, and we all have these lessons to learn around relationships we're in. And so I'm wondering if there's a lot of you realizing now that, you know, this dream I had before, you just realize that, you know, no, it was a dream, and it wasn't real. It wasn't authentic. And so I think that's the part that, you know, is blocking you from moving on, is that because there's this, you have two cards out of the cups, and because this is involving love. I mean, love is the highest vibration in the world, unfortunately and fortunately, because when we get into relationships that we have to let go of, it's really hard because it involves love, right? It involves the heart. And I'm going to go into what you need to heal. And the card that involves the heart here has 3 swords going through it. You know, and this is from your childhood. And so I'm going to see that you had some real heartbreak when you were younger. And I think what's happening is what's going on with you right now, with you're being asked to let this go, is being triggered. It's triggering you because there's something when you were younger that you lost. Well, let's look at this. Let's see why this letting go is gonna be a lot of pain here for you, because it's triggering some pain from childhood that you need to get to heal in order for you to make that step. And that's how this goes. I've been in this position too many times where I know that, oh, I want to make this step towards my purpose, and I got to heal something first. With me, it's always memories that are coming up, and this is what may be coming up for you. You have the Temperance card in reverse. And of course, you know, the Temperance has cups on it. We're talking a little bit about the cups in this reading here. And so you have this Temperance card in reverse, but in upright position. You know, the angels are taking these cups and they're pouring it. It reminds me of when you played, I don't know what game, where you use the timer. It's a beater, and you turn it on upside down, egg beater, and you turn it upside down, and the sand comes through, and it takes time. And I forget what game it is that if I don't know, but I remember playing when I was younger when you used to use that as your timer. Yahtzee? No, not Yahtzee. I forget what game it was, but anyway, if you remember, you can put it below. But this is about, you know, taking time, you know, and so I think when you were younger, there was something where there wasn't healing done with this, because if there was healing, you know, you would have been allowed, you would have had the time and the space and the support to heal some sort of a loss when you were younger, because it's in reverse here. And also I see the Temperance card as often when there's cups involved, it's talking about our emotions. And so your emotions around something that happened to you when you were younger were not given the time to heal. The Temperance card I see talks about, to me, it really involves a lot of healing, because it says, you know, it's a card that says it's going to take time. And you have this Thief card as a, I'm getting some more information here on what's sitting in your shadow that needs healing. Well, you have two Sword cards that are coming out, and the Sword card is about our mental thoughts, mental energy. And you have this Thief card who's running away with 5 swords out of 7. And the 5, look how he's carrying them. He's carrying them from their points, and very dangerous, right? And when you were younger, I think there were things that you were told that hurt you, because these are the thoughts that you inherited. These are the things that you ran away with. People told you things, because our swords are about our mental thoughts, our mental opinions of ourself. So what sort of things were you told about yourself, about relationships, that didn't get healed when you were younger? And you ran away with certain belief systems. Sometimes when we're younger, we're told that we need to when we get married, we can't leave that person. We have to stay with this person forever. And I know I have a neighbor across the street, and they're in their 80s, and they just celebrated, I don't know, I think it was 65 years of marriage or something. And I know that, you know, the woman's in pain. She tells me all the time about this relationship she has with her partner that she's living with right now, and, you know, been married to him this long, and there's not a question, there's not a question in her mind. There's not anything in her mind that would think, I could leave this person. It's just, that's what she would have been raised with, right? And I think a lot of us are raised when we're younger around relationships. Like, what were you told about relationships that kind of said, you know, you need to stay in this relationship, or you need to stay in this job, or what were the things that you were told? But in here, this 3 of Swords, there's a lot of pain around what you learned. I'm wondering if, you know, maybe, let's say, for example, you came from parents who were divorced, for example. Maybe that pain is coming up right now for you to heal, because we can sit and go, well, no, this divorce didn't affect me, but it did, because as a child you would have ran away with, you know, feelings of shame, blaming yourself. This is my fault. And so there's something here that really hurt your heart around relationships when you were younger, that this, what you're in right now, this move that you want to make for yourself, it's triggering, it's being triggered by what's sitting in your unconscious. And this whole first part of your reading is about your unconscious. It's about your intuition, right? It's about that feminine side of you. And so what is it from your childhood, from your adolescence, that you learned about relationships that was really painful for you? And this is bringing it all up. This next move you need to do for yourself is being triggered big time by what needs healing right here. And so, Aries, we're going to look at right now, what's the advice from the tarot? So I'm not going to give you this magic pill, but the tarot is going to give you, you know, what do you need to focus on here? And the first thing that the tarot says you need to focus on is this sword. This one sword, the Ace of Swords. And the Ace of Swords, I said earlier that the ace is about our mental thoughts. But when it's an ace or a page and or a queen, king, whatever, a court card, if they're carrying this one sword, it's your sword of truth. It's your sword of authenticity. And this is what the universe wants you to come back to right now. Who are you, Aries? You know, I started off the beginning and talked about Aries as I am. You know who you are. But the shadow side of that is confusion around who you are. And the shadow side of this is coming up for you, Aries. It's like, who are you? You're wanting to step out, you know, your sovereign self, your authentic self, going towards your true purpose here. And here's the gift and an offer from the universe saying, you know what, this isn't ace, I apologize, it's the page. And so I'm going to just tweak it a bit because it still is about that sword, but it's the inner child of yours. I apologize. I thought it said ace and I went off on the ace, but the page talks about the inner child of yours that knew who they were when you were like 4, 5, 6 years old. So here it is. You knew who you were when you were younger, and something, I think, set you off on the wrong path. And so this is a question of, okay, here's your authentic self wanting to come out now. You have an inner child that needs healing. It's been a child of yours, an inner child, that's been tugging at your pant leg, Aries, for a long time, saying, listen to me. I need healing. Whatever this is needs healing. And so the universe wants you to focus on this inner child right now. I do that a lot through my journaling. I allow that part of me, that page of swords that knew who I was, because there's a lot of grief there when you weren't allowed to be who you were meant to be, right? But it's now time for you to step into who you were meant to be. The Queen of Wands comes up again, which is fascinating because that's who you started off with, right? Here's your direction, your true authentic self. There's a direction for you. That's the Queen of Wands that wants to take you. When you start to heal this little part of you, your inner child, you know, you start to feel and their emotions that they felt when they were younger, the grief and the shame, because that's what you walked away with these 7 of Swords that we talked about. You know, you walked away with maybe, like I said, I talked about maybe your parents got divorced, something happened when you were younger, and you took on that shame. You took on that grief, and that's what led you astray, because then your real self couldn't come out because you have this page that holds all your memories and your big emotions around what happened to you. And then you have this beautiful Justice card. You are ending with Justice, a major arcana card. It says you're going to bring balance. Talked about Libra, I got to look it up if it's a full moon in Libra or new moon in Libra that's coming out just the beginning of April here, about bringing justice, balance to this, right? Because right now you're pretty lopsided because there's some healing that has to do, but you're going to feel what this inner child needed to feel when they were younger. All that grief, those emotions were too big for them to feel, and that's why it's up to you to feel it right now, because that's what you're going to start to feel, so you can heal it. I'm going to leave you with some videos on journaling, because that's how you'll get in touch with this inner child that needs healing, that knew who you were, and it has some things it wants to say to you. Maybe it has memories it wants to tell you, and it's going to be up to you. Your adult self. You're an adult now, right? And so you're the one that feels for your inner child that knew who they were. And then, Aries, you're going to be able to take that. You're going to have more clarity on where you need to go, what you need to do next. All right, so I want you to have compassion for yourself for what you're working through. This is a very difficult journey, the healing journey, but it's the most important journey of your life. Take care, and I'll talk soon. Bye.